Today we'll be discussing Our Last Days in Barcelona by Chanel Clayton. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Finally, I was able to make it.
Good. We're happy to.
By the skin of my teeth, I just put the baby down to sleep.
Aww.
So cheers.
Cheers. Over here. Your drink is better than mine. I'm going to wait a few minutes for a few more people to get in. We have like 15 RSVPs for today, but some might be delayed because they're at open house. So if people come in late, that is why. Hello. I'm glad you were able to get on.
I know the thing is every time I end up having to do it on my phone. So I was like, I'm going to do it early to troubleshoot because I end up scrambling because it doesn't want to work on my laptop.
I think everybody has been on before, but maybe not all at the same time. Nettie was on with us when we first had Chanel join us, and sadly she's not joining us tonight because she's on a deadline for another book. So if everybody wants to like quickly introduce yourselves so everyone gets an idea of who everyone is.
So my name is Jeanette, but everybody calls me Nettie. I'm 31 years old. I'm a mother of a 16-month-old, so I barely have time for myself. This is probably like the second or third time I've made it to the book club, but I keep wanting to join you guys, so forgive me.
I think you were pregnant the first time you joined us.
Yeah.
Okay, Adria.
Hi, I'm Adria. I think I've been joining pretty consistently since the beginning of this year, since January, I guess. Yeah. So the first book that I did with the book club was actually The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba. And since then I read Next Year in Havana and then now this one. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Which one was your favorite?
I don't know. I think Next Year in Havana, but I read The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba first. So I really, really enjoyed that. So maybe they're close because I think I read that one first. So I don't know.
I loved Next Year in Havana. It's my top one because I feel like it relates to at least my story. But this is my second. If you haven't read The Last Train to Key West, it's really good.
I haven't yet, so that's.
It goes like way back into their ancestry, so it doesn't really deal with the Perez sisters. It's like an ancestor.
Mm-hmm.
Tina.
Hi, Tina Formosa. I'm I don't know what do I say? I forget now.
Whatever you want, just introduce yourself.
I have two kids. I went to high school in the Shell. I've been doing this I think almost all of them. Maybe I missed one. And yes, I liked this book. I think the only one I haven't read of hers is that one, the Key West one, and I have it, so I got to read it. I love The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba, right? That's what it's called. I liked that one a lot, but obviously Next Year in Havana was my favorite for just learning family history purposes. But it was good. I liked it. It was fun. The Barcelona one.
Christy.
Hi, I'm Christy. I went to college with Michelle. I've been here at the book club since it started, but I did miss like 2 or 3.
Okay to miss.
And I think this one's my favorite. I really love this one. I really loved it. I read the other two, The Most Beautiful Girl and Next Year in Havana, and number 2 would be Next Year in Havana. But I think this is my favorite. This first one, especially that last line, the very last line of the book. I just was amazing. What's it?
Melissa.
I have 3 kids.
Oh, sorry. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Belissa. I'm actually based in Denver. I used to live in Miami and I've been in Denver for a year. So I'm really grateful to be able to do this virtually with you guys. It's, similar to a couple of you. I have a little one. She's 6 and takes a lot of my time. So between that and work, I don't always have a lot of time to do things for fun. And so this would definitely be one of the things that I do for fun because I love to read. I really enjoyed this book. It's the first one from this author that I read. So as I hear you guys say what your favorites are, I'll definitely make sure that I read those as well.
Next Year in Havana was the first one. So
Okay, so I'll
definitely
read that one first.
That one is about one of the sisters, one of the Perez sisters goes back in Cuba to spread her grandma's ashes, and she like meets the grandma's friends, and it's her like, I relate it to us because it's like her life in Miami and then her learning like her past through her grandma's friends.
Well, it's one of the Perez sisters' daughters,
Yes.
right? Or granddaughters.
Granddaughter.
So it's like
Oh,
a future
wow.
generation, yeah.
Nice. Love
And it
that.
goes back in time to like present day Miami to like whatever 1950 or something it was.
Amazing.
Jennifer.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, awesome, because I'm on my phone this time. I'm Jennifer. I met Michelle. Well, we haven't met in person actually, but only through Zoom. I saw the book club on Instagram, and we actually have some mutual friends. I think her goddaughter is in my class. I'm a teacher at the school, and
I did not know this when she joined the book club.
I did not. I saw it on Instagram somewhere that she like posted one of my students, and I'm like, hey, yeah, that's my student. And I'm like, so yeah, I've been pretty much to all of them. I think I missed one. I love Chanel Cleaton. I read all of them. My favorite one is this new one now.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. I used to love, well, I still love Next Year in Havana because it reminded me of my grandmother, you know, and the nostalgia and everything. It was just like, passionate. And I love The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba. I just love the back and forth and newspaper and all of that. It was intriguing. But this one it just kept me hooked the entire time. And I just loved her love story. Like, I felt like she really needed that love. And yeah, I really liked it. And I have 2 kids, 2 boys, 18 and 10. The little one has autism, and I just came from his open house. I guess open house for public school was tonight. So I literally just ran in, opened a bottle of wine, and
It's okay. I'm glad you joined us. I had mentioned there's a few
Thank you.
people that will be joining us late if they make it, because we had a few more RSVPs, but they're at open house. So they're like, we'll get
Yeah.
there if we get home on time. So if you see people join in late, that is why. Okay, so let's start. Before I start with the questions, what did you like the most? What storyline did you like the best? Isabel's or Alicia's?
I would say Alicia, because I had misunderstandings about her. Like, I love that we got to see, but that's with every Chanel Cleaton book. That's what I love about these books, that you get to know different aspects of every character. I loved my favorite one. I didn't mention my favorite one was When We Left Cuba, because I love Beatriz's character. I love learning about this girl. But I did like Alicia's character in this book.
I read When We Left Cuba. I don't remember now.
That was the second one when she like becomes a spy.
Oh, that's right. And she goes to college, like university, and yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Anybody else? I was surprised with Alicia's story. I like you, I enjoyed it because I also had a misrepresentation of her.
I liked
I liked
Isabel.
Isabel.
I liked Isabel's story better because I don't know, maybe I just could relate like her, I don't know, her, you know, wanting to do right and duty and not opening up and whatever. I guess I liked that of it. But I have to say the Alicia story, I'm not so sure I loved it because although I enjoyed it, it felt disconnected to me. I don't get how she turned, because they make her out to be really intense in all the other books. Like as a very disconnected mom, a very like, I don't know. I mean, all the other books, again, she hadn't fleshed out her story, right, until this book, I assume. So I'd be curious how she made it was too much of a jump for me. She was.
I feel like it hardened her, everything that she went through, and like, not to be super left field, but I know all of you guys have watched Encanto.
Yeah.
And the way that the grandmother is so harsh, but then they show the story of like why she got to be that way. I feel like that's the story of a lot of immigrants.
Yeah.
I could see that. but I don't know. It was too much of a leap for me. And maybe it's just that it's the way we see it from the daughter's perspectives, right? So of course it's not the same as, daughter could be thinking, misinterpreting cues and whatever, but they make it all the other super disconnected and like that she doesn't love or care for her kids that much. You know what I mean? At least that's how I
Yeah.
thought other
Yeah.
books.
I
When
agree.
here show her as really loving Isabel and like she did everything for her. She had passion and I don't know.
I don't know. I
agree
feel both
too.
parents are
back
not
and forth.
represented.
I went back and forth with her story, like understanding her and not. I like that they showed a different side to her, but then, I also was like, how is she not like relating more to her daughter based on like everything she's gone through? But also it could be like what Nettie said. I think sometimes when you get older and you go through a certain amount of things, it's just like you have to sort of become a little bit hardened, and that was just the way she was, like a defense thing for her.
Yeah.
And she just wanted like security and money and status at that point because she knew how hard it was to be without it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel
Sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love Alicia's story because it kind of explains a lot of her daughters, right? Like Isabel is kind of like a product of the aftermath of what Alicia went through, right? Just focusing on like just providing for the family and like playing it safe and kind of like letting go of like passion and love and kind of all those things that are idealistic. Whereas like Beatriz represents that part of her that made her get up and say, I'm leaving, right? Like in a time where that wasn't really probably acceptable for you to leave your husband and go to another country, and then start kind of she didn't have an affair with this guy, but she was kind of like,
Isabel.
it was, no, not Isabel, the mother, when she was having kind of that
Alicia.
relationship with her old love.
With the doctor guy?
Yeah,
With
the doctor guy, right? So
Yeah.
like, even though she didn't do anything improper based on what we read, but she was, kind of, it was reigniting those feelings that she had. And so it's kind of like these two sides of her that then we kind of see in her daughters, right? Two different daughters that act differently based on like their personalities and kind of the weight that they have, on their shoulders about what they're responsible for. So I thought it was nice for them to for the author to explain that, because I think it kind of sheds light into these two other women, the next generation. And I think also like there's always a story, right? Like sometimes we learn something about our parents or our grandparents that we're kind of like, wow, that happened to you, that you think is so weird to the person that in the present tense. And I think that everybody has stories like that, right? That they could kind of share and that other people would be surprised or shocked by.
I saw that she was hardened by like her husband and having to fit into the Cuban society and keep like look of how their family was portrayed. And I think that probably made her close off some parts of her. And that's why we saw her as such a hardened person later on. Because in this part, she was like in the beginning of the story. So she hadn't gotten there. She was only married for a couple years.
Yeah, and she also made a sacrifice similar to Isabel. Alicia made a sacrifice because the reason why she ended up back was because she wanted to help her little sister in a way. And obviously with everything that was going on in Spain, but she was also sacrificing herself to help her sister be able to kind of not be subjected to this life that her parents wanted to subject her to because she was pregnant.
And I think that makes you like cut off your emotions in a way. So, I mean, for some people, that kind of trauma could make you emotionless in some ways. So maybe it's that.
Lily, I saw you just joined us. We're just talking about which character you liked and like what storyline you liked better, Alicia's or Isabel's or Beatriz.
Got it. Hi. Thank you.
Yeah, like, that was our first question. You didn't miss much.
Okay.
Which heroine did you identify with more? Like, did you see any differences or similarities in their characters?
Is this directed to me? Or
No,
is this
anybody.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not putting you on the spot. Anyone.
I was like, let me think. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way Alicia went and saved her sister. And when she got sent away to that church or wherever she got sent away when they found out she was pregnant, and then like just taking off, and that time, somebody did it was like, let's get a car, let's go. And then the bombings, and it was just crazy. Like she had a lot of guts to go and do that and get her sister out of there, and then find a boat and the whole night. It was intense.
Now
Yeah.
that you mentioned the bombings,
like
that
it.
scene when they're like escaping into the forest and like the bombings began,
Intense.
that was written so beautifully. And I was like, were people really out there like
could
that? Because
see
that
it.
sounds terrifying. And I mean, I wish she was here because there had to have been some truth based to that storyline.
Yeah,
they
I remember when I read it, I Googled like that battle or whatever, and that definitely did happen. So I'm assuming there were people running for cover.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Remember when
like
he was
learning
showing her, when, I don't know if you made this connection, but when Isabel was being shown around by, what's his name? What's her love interest in this one? Isabel's love interest. I don't remember his
Diego?
name. By Diego, shown around, and he's like, oh, look, this is a mural that depicts this battle that happened. And she was like, yeah, beautiful, but had no idea that that her mother actually lived that battle. That was cool. I made that connection.
Yeah, that part was crazy for me, that their mom never spoke about anything that she had like
I know
been through. Very unlike a Cuban to not tell those stories.
Especially if you were in a battle.
Listen, I've heard a lot of stories.
I think learning about her with Alicia was very interesting, and everything that she went through between the war and the husband and going back. And as much as you want her to be nicer, more emotional with her daughters, she's put up a strong front, and you got to think about, because of all her experiences. And we think she's coming from a bad place, but her past and has made her that way. And we've learned so much about her in this book, and then they kill her. So it's like, I was like, no, I wanted more time with her now that I know more about her and I see the connection between her and Isabel. I really wanted to see a lot of that coming out between the two of them.
Who knows? Because Chanel Clinton, she keeps going back and forth, so she might dive back again into her life. Hopefully she does.
And into the parents.
I could stay with the Perez family forever.
It's true.
I hope she does each sister. I heard that, I don't know if I read it somewhere, that she's thinking about it because people have asked like to continue the story of each sister. She just hasn't come up with like the exact storyline yet, or like what part in history to relate it to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a rumor. I don't remember where I read that, but.
Well, and of the Perez sisters, though, the only one they're missing is Maria, the young one, right? And Alejandro, the twin that died, right?
That would be a cool book.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I'm sure she'll do. That's got to be in the.
And the younger sister too, because she would have basically grown if Alicia grew up in Miami the most. She was a teenager here. She did her whole childhood here. She must have been like 8 or 10 when they left in the first book.
Although they lived in Palm Beach, according to like when we left Cuba.
Yeah, and then they like somewhere in Miami later on at one point.
I think in the Gables.
Yeah,
Cuba. That comes to Miami, to the Gables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when we read Cuba,
they talk about
the guy gets that huge house in Palm Beach and walking on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I'm really surprised that Isabel left and went to New York, especially being so close to her family and everything of how she felt about her family. I thought she would come back and stay close by. So I was really surprised about New York.
because she kind of like wanted her own identity. Like
I
she
agree.
was taking care of her family for so long and in a loveless marriage.
No, it was great for her, and especially with her painting.
What did you guys
I
think about Isabel and
know.
their loveless relationship?
I mean, unrelatable for me, because like I've never had to put that kind of sacrifice on my back. You know, it's kind of a thing of a previous generation, I think. You know,
Yeah, I was
But-
hard for me to imagine it too.
Yeah, that was just kind of hard for me to relate to any of these characters in this book because I've never had to have that kind of sacrifice. I guess I've been blessed, to like live the life I want to for the most part. So
It made
I
me
think
kind of
they were
sad thinking about that, how there was so many generations that were in arranged marriages, were in marriages that there was no love, and you're just there, you're just existing, and you have one life to live, and you're not living it to the fullest, and kind of sucks. Like it was really sad, I think.
But it was either that or like living in communism or being without things and not being able to flee. Or
Yeah.
not
I think
have
they
the society label of like marrying up.
that is why I think because they were used to being in that high society, money, in Cuba, and they came here, and if somebody didn't marry well, or how would they get that connection and that status again? I think it was more them wanting to keep that status because they would have gone to Miami and been fine. But Palm Beach, you got all the
yeah, I think that
congressmen and
whole
celebrities.
that's the other thing that area, it was different. I mean, I don't know what Miami was like in those times, but at least like my family was never, even though my dad's family in Cuba was wealthy, it wasn't that like
Extreme high society.
Just high society, like there wasn't any element of so.
And like even though like women aren't as pushed now to marry up, like as little girls or younger girls, like did anybody ever say like, oh, try to find and marry a lawyer, marry a doctor, and you'll have a good life? Like I heard those things growing up, and that's kind of like associated with like marrying up in a way.
Yeah.
Not that I've
I mean, definitely they don't want you married, there's certain kinds of people they don't want you marrying, but for the most part, I didn't feel that pressure from my family. Just, don't marry a loser.
Yeah.
How does her Isabel's exile from Cuba impact? I'm sorry, not Isabel. How does her exile from Cuba impact Isabel? How do her feelings change throughout the novel? So Alicia.
One more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Beatriz. How does her exile from Cuba impact Isabel? How do her feelings change throughout the novel?
Isabel's?
Yeah, like how did Beatriz's exile from Cuba impact Isabel, and how did her feelings change throughout the novel?
Oh, well, I mean, I think she judged her a lot. I think that she felt like she was like the one carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, and like how could Beatriz be so free and like not care about what society thinks and what, the responsibility that she has. And then she got to know Beatriz's life and realized, maybe I'm the one doing it wrong.
Yeah.
She was the closest with her brother, and I think she was the most impacted by his death and wanted like revenge or maybe not revenge, but, to do something to help back home. I think she was the most connected, and the other ones were more like, Mom, let's take care of the family. Let's do, what's right at home.
I thought it was ironic that the same thing she judged Beatriz for is the same situation that she kind of found herself in towards the end of the book, right? Where she met this guy and she had all this, excitement and passion. And then she had to make a choice, right? Between the life she was leading and being responsible and kind of like doing what was expected versus just breaking with norms and just living life on her own terms, which was what Beatriz seems to have been doing. So that was kind of ironic. So there definitely was an evolution in the way that she felt about Beatriz and the way she was living her life.
I just like the way how she threaded the relationship amongst the sisters and then with the mom too, like through all of these different relationships or like, I guess storylines. So even at the end, I think she wraps it up nicely when, they're at the funeral and then all the sisters are next to each other. And it's kind of like, it's not only a love story between each one of the sisters with their love interests or their two love interests or whatever it may be. It's also kind of like the love of family. And I feel like that's very true to the culture. And then something else kind of going back to Alicia, not to derail, but just some thoughts where she said, like, oh, that's when I said I wanted to have a lot of kids, right? Because that's what was going to fulfill me. And then I started thinking, and I was like, maybe this is too deep. But you know how our grandparents' generation, a lot of them have a lot of kids, and a lot of them had these long marriages. And it made me wonder, you know, how many of them were looking for, you know, fulfillment or looking for happiness in their children rather than their marriage. So back in the day, people didn't get divorced, you know, it wasn't a thing. So
No, they
wasn't a
had
thing.
10 children.
Where was the dad during that time, at the end, like during her marriage? I was like, I didn't feel like the dad was involved in the whole thing at the end. I'm like, wouldn't he have known about the ring and the whole connection?
The ring.
It doesn't say, right?
No.
Remind
No,
me
right?
the story
The dad
with
is
the
missing.
ring.
Oh, that's the best
That's the
part,
best part.
I think.
I read the book in May. Sorry,
That's
disclaimer.
Yeah, I read it a long time
part.
ago too, but that line at the end, I started sobbing, like
Yeah.
hysterical. Like my husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Learn about it at the very end, so maybe later on at some point, then it comes up in a family get together.
Oh, of course,
maybe.
that she gave the ring
She
to
gave the
like
ring
somebody
to-
who was pregnant, and
To
then it was
somebody, and that ended up
Diego's
being
mom.
the guy's mother, Diego's mom.
yes, yes,
I want her story
Crazy.
now.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
yeah. I'm
And
sure
she
that that story was
she
not
never ended up
told.
selling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because we don't know how she got out finally, right? We know she didn't sell the ring,
Yeah.
but because the mom gave her the ring to sell it to be able to get on the boat or whatever.
Oh,
So-
true.
And she's like, I just couldn't. This lady, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that line, I was like,
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
I did. I
Me
was like,
neither.
I had thought there was gonna be something
Yeah?
weird there. When she randomly gives her ring to like a stranger at the station, I was like,
I thought it was gonna
That's
come
a lot.
back to her, but not that like the son ended up giving it to
yeah.
her
Yeah.
daughter.
Oh my God, that was great.
Of all the Perez siblings, Isabel's the most like her mother, Alicia. What similarities did you see in their personalities, and how are their life experiences impact their choices? What differences did you see? Well, they both like gave up of themselves in order to better their family's future.
Yeah, I think they're both loyal.
Yes.
Well, but Isabel followed her heart, and
In the
the
end.
mom didn't do it. Yeah, in the end,
Mhm.
the mom ended up doing the most sacrifice, and didn't end up with, who I think she, loved was that doctor, and
Which
they
looking
both
back at that,
watched out for their sisters.
looking at that time for her, it was a lot harder for her to leave her husband, especially with a child.
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe if Isabel wasn't around, she would have left him.
Yeah,
Was
but
it-
I think she was at the point that she wasn't gonna go back. Like, I think she was gonna leave her husband if it wasn't for her sister
Her
getting
sister.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And the big difference between them is that the mom didn't come from money, right?
No.
So she didn't really have anywhere to go, where Isabel like had her family backing her regardless, and she had her art or whatever that was becoming successful, so she had a little bit more options, where like the women in the past didn't have as many, which tracks.
What surprised me about her art was that she didn't realize she had this passion or talent until she left her husband. Like, I get the loveless marriage thing, but I didn't understand why she couldn't still fulfill her passion before. Like, why did it have to wait for her to leave him or separate from herself from him to realize that she had this thing she liked to do that she had never discovered before?
I
I
think that's
kind of
like
saw the art as symbolism. Like,
and it's also like a telltale sign of an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't like physically abusive, but maybe emotionally a little bit.
yeah.
But didn't she
Mhm.
say that she was painting? She started painting after she got married, I think, or when she was in Miami, something like that. That's where she started to paint, like to kind of let go. So she had already started that, and I think that's what it was. Probably she just discovered that after she got out of Cuba. Like she needed a way to like, she found her passion that way.
Express herself.
She just
yeah.
discovered and she just finally let herself go when she was in Barcelona, because like everything, so much was happening to her, she was letting go.
Yeah.
So, but she had
She
already
was feeling
started.
feelings she had never felt.
Right.
Yeah, she had
Right.
painted in the past, but her husband would dismiss it as like silly. Which is
Right.
when
She
we
did
say-
it as a way to escape, kind of thing. And she didn't give it value, I guess, until she was feeling more feelings.
Yeah,
least
it
that's
seemed
how I
like she found the confidence for it while she was in Barcelona. Like
Yeah.
being physically away from him kind of helped her like see herself in a different way rather than like
And Beatrice kind of
making
pushed
herself
her too.
smaller. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, wear this dress. Let's go
Mm.
out dancing. You know, let's
Probably like,
Get
I
out
hate
of
your
your comfort
husband.
zone.
Leave him.
But it didn't hurt that the guy that was making her feel all these feels is the one that brought her the art supplies
Right.
to like to. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that had
Made her feel confident. Yeah.
exactly, there was connection there too.
Oh, and that he had kept that painting the whole time was so beautiful.
I love them. Okay, so
too.
Isabel and Diego, they're influenced by the impact of war and exile, which have played a role in their families' lives. How do these experiences shape their decisions and personalities, and how does it affect their relationship? Well, the war brought them together because they had to search for Beatriz and become a team. Anyone else? What did you think of their relationship?
I
Very good. Can you repeat the question?
I think
Yeah.
I already said it. Yeah.
Okay, both Isabel and Diego are influenced by the impact war and exile have played on their families and lives. How have those experiences shaped their decisions and personalities? How does that affect their relationship?
Their relationship with each other.
Yeah,
I mean,
Like-
they relate to each other. I could see why Isabel like was so interested in like learning more about her mom and like what happened in Barcelona, because that's probably like her mentor, I guess, in some ways.
and like the war, I think brought them together because they were caught in a few, like the first time that they went out in the convertible and like people were following them, they had to pretend to be a couple, if I remember correctly, like
Oh
it
yeah.
kind of like
That's
pushed them together.
right. I wasn't sure if that was in this book or the other one. I
was
started
this-
getting
it
them
was
like
this one.
mixed. Yeah. So yeah, and the whole thing where they go to the apartment and oh no, is that the
She
other
thinks
one?
he's-
Or is
no,
that-
yeah, no, and she thinks he's
Yeah.
like right
and
in the beginning.
Yeah, and he gets injured, right? He gets shot or something. Yes, that's right.
Did anybody else think when they went down to Marbella, which was so crazy because when I was reading this book, I was in Spain and I was in Marbella.
Oh, cool.
So when I'm like
What?
literally reading it on the beach
So
and like
cool.
they're like traveling to Marbella. But anyways, so when they went there, I totally thought that those people were going to be Isabel's like real parents. Remember that they were like spying on.
Oh, yes.
They went to find out where Beatriz was, right? Or like that
Yeah.
there was a bar or something that she was supposed to have been to.
I
That's
so I thought that
right.
Beatriz was like realized while she was there that she wasn't like the child of her father, because remember she always had like friction with her father.
Oh yeah.
And the twin brother obviously did as well. I thought that those twins were gonna be like part of the mom's time in Spain.
Yeah, because she found that
because they showed that
picture,
picture.
of her. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that in the beginning too, that it
picture.
she wasn't her dad's.
I was
But
like, what?
And
Yeah.
at the end, doesn't she ask her, or is that not Beatrice?
She does
No,
ask.
yeah, she
Yeah.
asked her at
He
the
asked
end.
her about the picture. And I think Beatriz actually said to Isabel, like, oh, I think I'm not
Yeah.
her daughter or something, or I'm not
Yeah.
dad's whatever daughter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which then brings us
Beatriz-
to the other love story.
I mean, it kind of alluded to that. It alluded to that because she's meeting with like her aunt, right? Refresh my memory. But she was meeting with her aunt
In what part?
in Spain. Yeah, because they helped them exile Spain.
Yeah.
I thought that the aunt was actually Beatrice's mom, and that her mom just like took over the twins as if they were her own,
Was
to
it her
like
aunt or
to
her
not
cousin?
have that scandal in the family and to like protect her little sister.
Mm.
Because that was another storyline, no? Was it in this book that there was another storyline? Her cousin
Rosa.
Yeah.
that married the wrong guy.
Yeah, and that guy impregnated
The little sister.
the little sister.
Exactly, the little sister. That was a whole nother story in this story.
Yeah,
I
I
was
actually thought the
like,
same thing. I was
dang,
like,
why did
oh,
she
maybe she
marry the
pretended
brother?
to be the twins' moms to help
Exactly.
the sister and cover it up.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I
But
did.
Rosa was she a cousin or a good friend?
I think a
I was
cousin.
confused.
He said cousin.
It was
Cousin.
a cousin
Of
Okay.
Alicia, right? Cousin of Alicia.
I think so.
of Alicia. Okay.
But
But
that
how
would
do
have
you marry a
explained-
guy and not know that it's your ex's brother? I don't understand.
No, because the brother was already in New York or whatever. I think they
Right,
married
they had
quickly.
never really courted. It was just like at the
They
my
didn't have the
understanding
same
was
last
it was
name. Never asked.
I don't think
I
she
don't know,
knew
it's
him
kinda
like
weird.
that. I don't
she
think
knew nothing about him. She knew nothing about his background. I
They
don't think she knew anything.
They
They
hung out
just talked to each other while they were in college. like
Yeah.
in the university.
Right.
like, just
Didn't the
talking.
brother like seek her out? Like he saw her talking to her brother,
Yes.
and then he
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
and like pursued her
Yeah,
afterwards.
that's what the brother
That's
said.
you.
So
Yeah.
he was mad at him because he was like proactively going after her.
Yeah, he was shady.
Yeah, he was shady.
What did you guys think of that
Yeah.
whole scenario and her ending up with the other brother after her husband died?
It's a little weird, to be
glad.
honest with you.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's
you know,
I
stranger
mean,
things have
obviously,
happened.
we know the backstory that she was with him first, but it's all very
Yeah.
convoluted and weird, right? Because it's like, obviously.
Well, you end up hating this guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the guy
like,
was
her husband
obviously an
now. Like,
a-hole,
what a
so
douche.
I don't
Yeah.
feel bad for him. But at the same time, it's weird, and especially in those
It
times,
is weird.
not looked upon.
Yeah.
Even though maybe during those
Oh.
times it was kind of like
Less
less
weird.
bad. Yeah, less weird.
but
Probably
having-
because it was kind of like women were looked at as like property in a way. So it was almost like, okay, well, now he's taking care of like the brother's, you know, wife who.
But
needs
having
be
to
taken
live in
care
that house, Jesus.
Yeah.
Weird.
I wonder how that went with the in-laws when she decided to marry the other brother.
Mary, I
They
know.
They
didn't
were
like
getting
her.
rid of her.
I don't
They
think
hated
like her. They're like,
But without him, again, she's like marrying for society, even though she did like him at first, because without him, she had nothing. Like she had nowhere to go and nowhere to stay.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have
what
to
ended up happening with them? They went to, where did she exile them to? To Miami too? Or no, to Florida?
I don't think they tell
Yeah,
that part
but that
of the
was
story.
the other family members, no? Mita, wasn't it Mita and the husband, right?
Which one was those? Now I don't
No.
remember.
Those are
but-
the ones
Didn't
that were in
Rosa,
Spain.
didn't Rosa?
No, it's Rosa.
want to-
It's
Rosa.
It's Rosa.
yeah.
and
Rosa
not-
that wants to get out, right?
Okay.
I think didn't they go to Spain and they were working in
They
Spain
went
and then
to Spain.
they tried to help her move to America.
That's where they
Fidel was
defected.
gonna like take them or something.
Yeah.
Yes, they were working for Fidel, but like they were trying to defect. So they left from Cuba and they went to, I'm sorry, from Spain to Palm Beach. I think they even say it at some
To
point.
Palm
They went
Beach?
down,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't
right?
sure. I
I'm
don't
pretty
remember.
sure. Pretty sure. Mita, that one's
she
the
get
one
him out?
that's in New York. The one that Isabel
yeah.
then goes
Yes.
to be with in New York.
You know, we need a family tree and like locations.
Does she have it
Oh,
here?
I
'Cause
have
it's
it.
There's one in the
I
back.
have it. It's like in
Really?
the
In
back
this
of one
one?
of the books. Is it in the back of that book or in the back of
Yes.
the other
Yeah,
one?
she did one here. I was just looking at it now.
Yeah. Well, but I had to like really dig into that because you don't know a lot of these characters.
That's awesome.
Which is the
Well,
character
Mita
that
was actually
was
the father's sister.
the father's sister?
Yeah,
you
Mita
don't really go
was
into that.
actually related to them through the
Exactly.
father. Rosa was the one that was the cousin of Alicia.
Because we don't get a lot of the father's side, but Mita, that's
So
the
that
person I think.
Mita's a like a tia from her dad's side, where Isabel went in New
Yeah.
York to stay, and yeah.
But I don't think you read the first book, so that's why you're a little bit more confused
Yeah,
with
I
the characters. Because I had a good friend of mine too, that I'm trying to get to join the book club, but she couldn't come tonight. She read this book and she's like, "There's more books though, right?" Because I think I'm a little confused, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I probably should have started with Next Year in Havana."
Mhm.
I read them in like not the right order. So it like threw me
It
for a loop
confused
trying
you?
to get everybody straight. Yeah.
It's still hard to like keep track because it goes back in time. So
I was
much.
gonna say
Because
I
she
read them in
tells
order.
you that
Exactly.
I read
She
them in
tells you
order
you
and
can
I'm
read
confused.
them, right? And she tells you could read them. They're independent because they really are independent
Yeah.
stories. But to understand the connections,
Yeah, I think it
like
helps.
you
I-
should read them in order, right?
Which
I-
is the connection in the Key West one? I just felt like those were just like
I was
other
about to
people.
say that. That's like
So
the
it's Mirta's story from like when she comes.
and Mita's the brother.
there you go.
Yeah.
no,
the
I don't think it's
brothers.
Mita. It's
I
before
I think
that.
it is
No,
Mita
it's Mita,
that
it's
marries
on
the
her.
mobster.
Yeah.
Mita marries the
Mita.
mobster, right?
Oh,
Huge rock.
Don't
But
tell me
not
this
the
is
other
because I haven't read it.
story.
It's really good. I read that book in like 3 days. It was a little bit
Yeah,
harder.
it was a
because
good read.
There's some like abusive
read it.
relationship stuff going on a few
Yeah.
times.
It's crazy, but
started
it's
it.
very
I haven't
Key West. It's very,
it
like
follows
you
it
could-
follows 3 characters, and the other 2 have nothing to do with any of these other books.
exactly.
Nothing.
You have 3 strong stories, but only one
Mhm.
is connected to this
Mhm.
family. Exactly.
Okay, next question. Family loyalty and expectations play a large role in the novel. How does each heroine handle the expectations that are placed on them? Do you agree with their choices, and how would you have handled them? Well, I definitely would not have stayed in a loveless marriage, but I don't know,
Honestly,
like your family has nothing and it's like your only solution.
I'd like to say that I'd be a Beatriz, but knowing myself, I'd probably be an Isabel, just because like I am like I feel like the strong one of the family that kind of holds things together. So maybe I would have sacrificed my love life.
I'm definitely not Beatrice.
That's why I like her so much, because I'm like, wow, like this girl's joined the
Wow,
CIA.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
she's
wish I could
badass.
Go travel
I
the
want to be more
world
like
and do
her.
whatever I want and go drinking and dancing and crazy.
I loved when we left Cuba because those stories of like those CIA meetings and little missions that she was on, like I just know that my grandpa was doing those things. So I'm like intrigued.
Yeah. And Hialeah in the
Mhm.
little it was good.
Anybody else?
What was I gonna say? I mean, they don't really talk too much about the little sister. She's just like the family one that got married young. And where did she live? Coral Gables? She the Gables girl?
But it seems like she was
Yeah.
like in love. Like it was like she didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to marry, to help them. It was more like it worked out for her.
That's the sister that her great granddaughter went to spread her ashes for next year in Havana.
Mm.
Yeah, but
The
that
one
one
from
was
the
not
Coral Gables.
love.
But even
gotta
her,
read
I mean,
that
she
book.
didn't end up
Yes,
with the
you
love of
have
her life.
Yeah, she
You
did.
have to
end
read
up with-
that book.
Right. Because he
Don't
was in
you read the
Cuba.
Exactly.
Yes.
Her love
Her
of her
stories
life
is
was-
very interesting.
Yeah. It is very interesting. I like that one.
Alicia and Nestor have a history together, and she often wonders what might have happened if things had turned out differently between them. What do you think of the choice Alicia made to return to her husband? Do you think she should have explored her feelings with Nestor? Yes.
Yes,
I
but
she
then
did.
we wouldn't have the Perez family, so no.
Yeah, we
Yes,
wouldn't have the
wouldn't
rest
have
of
the
the
other
Perez
sisters.
family.
But her
I
reason,
think, I think it
In
was
reality, she might have, and they just didn't put it in the book. But really thinking about life, I'm sure there was a kiss or more, like, I don't know.
for sure.
I think there was just too much going on. You know what I mean? It wasn't as simple as like, oh, does she stay and, rekindle her love with him or go? It was like the sister situation plus the war, plus he had a sense of responsibility to like help in the war. So there were all these like factors kind of like conspiring against them, being together. So it was almost like it wasn't really even a choice the way that it was written. It was kind of like, it was acknowledged that they had feelings for each other, that were the circumstances different, things may have turned out differently for them, but there was just too many things that were stacked up against them, basically.
But like he cheated on her, didn't he? I would have left him and tried Nestor.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the doctor and her.
Oh,
Not the
okay.
husband. I'm
Yeah, like
saying,
the husband cheated on her. I think she should have like left and tried
Exactly.
the doctor. Like
I
not
know.
gone back to the husband at that point.
But
But
I
again,
think it's
that
also
wasn't
the
something that
time-
happened back then.
but
And
I
she
Yeah.
needed to leave Spain because of
Yeah.
the war.
Yeah.
Because of the war.
Exactly. I feel
If
like she
not,
may
she
have,
had it good there.
yeah. I feel like I was actually very surprised by the fact that she actually left to begin with. Like she stayed there. I forget how long they said she was
It
there.
was a while, yeah.
It was a
Like
while.
a while, and her
So I
parents
think-
were like, with
Yeah, I think
her,
it was
and
like
the daughter and helping
circumstantial
her.
that she ended up going back to him. I don't think it was like I'm gonna go back to my husband because he deserves a second chance. Like I think it was kind of like, this is my only choice. Like there's
Especially for a woman of that time, it was very impressive that she did that, and I'm surprised. Like that
Yeah.
part is a little hard to believe that he didn't show up in Spain looking for his kid. You know,
Yes.
like he just let that happen.
Yeah.
I was like
I
waiting
think
for him
the
to
only
show
thing-
up.
Yeah, me too.
But
He
didn't
knew-
he show up at
I
the
mean,
end? Wasn't he on the
he
boat?
messed up.
He was
Mhm.
waiting
No, he
for
was
her when she
waiting
got
for her
back
in
to
Cuba.
him.
Waiting for
She
her
got
when
off.
they-
Yeah.
And actually, even then, in her mind, like the dialogue when she was already there and he was there was kind of like she was still questioning like her decision. Like it wasn't like a
Mhm.
given that she was gonna. But then I think when she saw him with Isabel, like embracing
It was
him,
more for
whatever,
Isabel, I think.
yeah,
And the
then she
fact that
kind
he
of was
waited
like-
for her, she was
He didn't
impressed
even
by the
seem
fact
that
that he
happy.
waited for her at the port, which is not very impressive to me, but she was
I
happy.
mean, maybe for him, maybe he was that bad that
Yeah,
Like she
Yeah.
was gone for a
Yeah.
year. Like you better be there waiting.
yeah, like you better
Yeah.
show up to
But
Spain.
I think also, as much as I think it was the time, like you can't, it's very difficult to do divorce. Like that's a stranger thing at that time. But as well, I think it was more understood, like having gone to Spain for a year, her family was there. So I don't know that was so weird for her to have gone there. Like it could be explained away in those
Yeah.
times, I
They
guess.
could have made
Yeah.
something
Because
else.
you have to travel by boat. It's a heck of a travel to be with her family, so she spent more time there, so it could be explained away, I think. So as much as it was very brave of her to do that, I don't know that it was.
I think she got
Oh.
cut off.
Yeah.
But she-
very
her-
I think she was
dramatic in
trying to
that time,
protect her
so.
daughter
And that storyline is like
of the
similar
war.
to,
Yeah.
to Isabel. Like Isabel left to Spain to had like friction with her husband and then returned back to him while having a pseudo lover back in Spain.
Yeah.
And her husband too. That's a little bit more modern day, was like what, the 50s, the 60s. Why didn't he show up in Spain looking for
Well,
her?
it was
He was
way
gone for
before that.
months.
I
It
mean,
was
no
way
one
before that. That must have been like the 30s.
Let's see if it says it here.
Because remember, the 50s,
Yeah.
60s is when they leave Cuba, and they have 3 more kids.
We have it here.
I think it was the
60s.
40s,
Isabel's stories in the
Oh, the
60s. Alicia and Rosa's is in the 30s.
60s.
30s, right?
So again, the
Yeah.
60s. Isabel's husband could have easily gone to Spain to look for her, and he didn't. And she was gone for what?
I don't
like a
think he
couple
really
months.
cared about her.
I
I think
It was-
figured
I
it
think-
out
mean-
either because I couldn't
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
like
it was
the
out of
incentive
convenience. Yeah.
for marrying her. Like she married him for like the status, but like I don't know if he married her more to like have a relationship with her father and the business.
like, a
I couldn't tell
younger-
what his motive was.
A younger
But then
wife.
didn't he get
maybe.
sad when she like threatened to leave at first?
I don't.
Like, he was all upset.
he
Like
wanted it seemed to me like he wanted just like a wife.
The
You know what I
appearance.
mean?
Like a trophy wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a wife to have at home, to
Yeah.
just be like a trophy wife. It didn't matter who it was.
Yeah.
Maybe, he considered her like beautiful. And so she was like kind of like a trophy wife. Yeah. And it was more of like an inconvenience when she said she was going to go see her sister or find her sister in Spain. But like you could tell he was bothered, but it kind of reminded me of one of those people that are like not gonna like make a fuss, but he's like not happy about it and was just gonna let her be, assuming she was gonna come back and like, be
Yeah.
her normal self again.
Right.
how did your perspective of Alicia, we kind of touched upon this a little bit, but how did your perspective of Alicia and Isabel change from previous novels once you read Our Last Days in Barcelona? Did this novel help you understand their behavior in Next Year in Havana and When We Left Cuba? Was there anything new you learned about them and anything that surprised you? Everything about Alicia surprised me in this
Yeah,
one.
definitely
I
her.
agree.
Anyone else?
It was nice and kind of romantic seeing the connection between the two of them.
Yeah.
How similar, that things that happened to them all the way around to the ring. So that was really fun.
Anyone else? No. We haven't really talked about like
Okay.
the way Beatrice has changed in this novel compared to others. Like I saw her more, even though she was still involved in the CIA and like being secretive, I saw her more loving, like how she brought Diego to the funeral to surprise her sister. Like there was like a more caring side to her in this storyline.
I mean, I love Beatrice's character so much. Like she is my favorite Perez. She's so layered. She's so like interesting. That whole like time that she had when she was here and her involvement with the CIA, and then that she was in Barcelona and living this other life. And it was kind of like also an escape, remember? So she had that guy that she was supposed to be with, the mayor, the politician.
The mayor or whatever.
You know,
what's his name? Preston something? Something Preston?
Yes. So, you know, that time in Barcelona was like her escape from that when that crashed and burned.
I liked him.
I mean, I thought they were so sexy. I loved them.
I know.
What did you guys think of the relationship between all the sisters? Like one of my favorite scenes was when they were all in, was it West Palm at the younger sister's house or Elisa's house? And they were all like talking and like consoling each other. I think we didn't really get a lot of that, of like all of them bonding together in any of the books.
Like at the reception, at the funeral's reception?
Was
Like
it
after
then?
the
Was it
funeral?
like
Was it
right
after?
before the funeral or after? I don't remember. But like there was one point that they were all in Lisa's house and like her husband comes in and they were like all like chit-chatting and like helping Isabel.
Drinking champagne? Were they drinking
Yes,
champagne?
yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
was
I
in Coral
remember that.
Gables and
I was in Coral Gables.
Young sisters.
Yeah.
They had like an unspoken bond, but I would like to see more of like those moments, you know, in her books, where we get to know like their dynamic a little bit better, because they have like I said, an unspoken bond, but we don't know it well.
Yeah, because like in Next Year in Havana, they're also young, that I think like their age differences separated them a little bit.
Yeah.
That this was like
I
the
think
first time
Isabel
we
and
saw them.
Beatrice were the closest because they would go out to the little parties together and, you know, kind of sneak around.
And then like the other two were like on their own, because the youngest was more like with the nanny all the time. I don't know. It was nice to see them like come together. And like we got a glimpse of where Elisa is now, which I loved. I want more of that story. I want like that story present day.
I think it was cute seeing like them together.
About Alicia.
Sorry, go Christy.
No, it was cute seeing them like that together, and then it makes me wonder because back in the 30s or in the 40s or even the 60s, like the sisters in general just were sisters that close. Because especially being in exile and all that, and going in different places, a lot of our family, like I don't know if anybody has family like in, you know, from the 60s that the sisters are that close and are still that close.
Yeah, I mean, my grandmother was one of 12, so I think it was by age determined their closeness.
Yeah,
so,
like
exile or not,
she stayed in Cuba, and some people came. So there's
she was closest to the ones that were around her age, like regardless of like being in Cuba or being here.
Yeah, my grandma too. She was like, I think 10 or something, and like from the oldest to the youngest, she could have been her daughter because it was 20 years apart.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anything you guys want to discuss? I went through all my questions, so any topics that surprised you or any comments?
Where is Elisa now? In the last book, I don't remember now.
She was in the Gables with her husband and her son, who was.
Oh, that's Elisa. Then who's the other one? There's a fourth?
There's a little one. That
Maria, right? Maria.
Yeah. Which is
Maria. And do they talk
Elisa
about her at
never
all?
had a child with her new husband?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because the child that she had was her lover in Cuba, no? Remember, she was pregnant when she left Cuba.
Now I'm confused.
When Alicia
And-
left Cuba, she was pregnant, which is why she like threw up on the plane. It wasn't like from.
Oh,
there.
yes, yes. But she has a son
Exactly.
like this book. Yeah, yes.
Melissa, you should mute so you don't hear it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
What did you guys think about that part with Consuelo where she saved Consuelo? She could have died at that convent
Yeah.
in Spain.
Yeah,
That had
yeah.
me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, with the like bombs right there behind him, then driving and getting out of the car, going into
Oh
the
my God. And the parents,
forest or wherever they went.
I thought she was gonna go into labor. I was like, oh my gosh, you know,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
she saved, Isabel saved her life. Or not Isabel, Alicia saved her life.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I have this quote highlighted that's like, I don't know if she wrote this book around the time of the protests in Cuba, which started with like the in San Isidro, like I don't know, you guys know about like all those protests in Cuba, right? So it started with like these artists in San Isidro. So it kind of relates to Isabel's art. And then this quote from the book, it says, perhaps that's what men like Franco and Perez fear the most: the power of speech, the power of art to galvanize the will of the people, the power of some positive creation to counterbalance the destruction they have wrought. To conquer, to destroy, you must subvert and eradicate the will of the people, their joy, their spirit, and their hope. So going back to what you were saying about like Isabel's art and why she never like pursued it, like it was kind of crushed as well,
Yeah, probably.
which is a tactic of these, you know, dictators.
But she had left when she was a lot younger, no? Like for her to have experienced that, you think? I don't know. I don't remember. Because when she escaped Cuba, she was a teenager, wasn't she?
She wasn't one of the youngest though. I mean,
Well, Elisa is the oldest, then Beatriz and Alejandro, then Isabel and Maria was really young. So she must have been like a teenager.
Yeah, I wonder what age.
But that is a good point. And I don't know if she wrote it during that time because that was 2021, like summer of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
She was maybe she could have been going through edits because she writes them like a year in advance.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if I wish she was here to answer that. If this related back to what was happening like present day.
I missed her. We've had her for all of them.
I know.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? You guys ready for the next book? Okay, so the next book, the author was recommended by one of the girls on our book club who's not here tonight. I have not yet read it. It is a Jewish author, so the story is Meant to Be Mine by Hannah Orstein. And
Meant to be mine.
her grandmother can like predict when people are going to meet their soulmate. And she's been right, like for a lot of people in the family. So she gives her date. So the date that she gives her, she's like on a plane and meets someone. So it's about like fate, like, is that really the guy? And then apparently like certain circumstances happen. So it's like fate and timing, do they like coincide?
Cool.
Oh,
And she will be joining us for a book club. So we will have the author with us. And I'm going to give you the date. Let me double check before I get it wrong. It will be on November 9th. And a little bit later at 8, because that's when she was available.
Perfect.
And we'll be doing some, they're doing some book giveaways for us. So keep an eye out on Instagram this week and next week.
All right.
And he's like, yay, she won one already.
I did.
Okay, you want to take our photo?
My book was from like Libby, so I don't have it. But
It's
Like,
okay.
hold on.
You can
I'm
smile.
like all faded. Hold on.
Hold
Hold on, let me get mine. Hold on, hold
I
on.
have it kind of right there.
Hold on, hold on.
Libby counts.
Hold on one
It's
second.
your blurry.
Wait. Okay, I found it.
Wait for me. This isn't working. Okay.
oh my gosh. Sorry, my brightness. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna
No,
take.
I'm having technical difficulties.
It's okay,
I'll just
go.
pretend.
Mine is the
We
right.
can wait
my
for you.
wife.
Go. You want to get it or no? No? Okay.
Hold
One,
on, hold on,
two.
hold on. Let me try to make it darker. How do I make it darker?
Yeah, make it darker so you can see it.
I know there's a way to make it darker.
I just took a picture of like everyone randomly laughing by mistake.
Okay. Oh, just like this.
Don't post that one.
1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do this again. Just in case. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. We kept it today under in exactly 1 hour. I think this is like a miracle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for joining us.
Michelle,
What?
Bye.
I saw you were reading 100 Other Girls. Is it good?
It is good. It's kind of like The Devil Wears Prada modern day, because the boss is a lot like Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada, but there's like tension between the digital and print. Print is they're not doing so well, and digital's like taking all their ideas and trying to succeed, but the head of print is like not giving it up.
What's the name of the book?
Just came
So far
up.
it's really good. 100 Other Girls.
Isn't there?
Did any of you guys read Luckiest Girl Alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Saw
read
the
that for
trailer.
book
Was
club.
that? It was our book club, right? It's
Yeah.
coming
What is
on
it
Netflix,
called?
no?
Luckiest Girl Alive. It's
I
coming
missed
out.
that one. I could have joined. I read it.
It's coming
Mila
out.
Kunis.
I think it was around the time you had the baby.
Oh.
Because it was last summer. It was it's coming out on Netflix next month, I think.
Is it a movie or a show?
I think it's a movie.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it? Is that a series?
And no, I think it's a movie
Maybe
because
it's a series.
when the trailer they tagged on Netflix Films.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's a movie. Okay. Cool. I'm excited.
And I
like that
love
one.
her.
Before I let you guys go, the book that we would pick for November, like so to read November, December. I'm trying to get like Gauge an idea. Colleen Hoover's new book comes out, I think in October. The one that's like a prequel to It Ends With Us. And I know a few people wanted to read it. Or
Is it a prequel or is it after?
oh, it's after. It's after. You're right. It's sequel.
It's after, right?
Yes, it's
Okay,
after.
yeah. That's the sequel.
Or would you want to read like a holiday themed book or something completely different?
I'm down for anything.
I'm fine with the sequel or
Yeah, me too. I was gonna read it anyways. So
I
I'm
think
down
I would
to
pick
do
it
that one.
anyways. I just didn't know if people would want to read that like
Yeah.
during the holidays, because I don't know if it's going to be as strong as the other one.
that's true.
No, it's definitely gonna be happier, I think.
If she's with that guy, or maybe not.
I know that book gave me such a pit in my stomach.
No, I don't think she's gonna be with the guy.
No,
It's
she's
like
Because this
it's
line
a
says
good
it
guy.
starts like the
It's a
last line in the book is it ends with us. Like the
Mhm.
abuse ends here. You
Yeah.
know, with me and my daughter. That's how I took it, right?
No,
Yeah,
I know that the sequel is her with the new guy, but I don't know if the
Oh,
other
with
guy's
the
gonna
new
make
guy,
an appearance or if anything's gonna happen. I have no idea.
Or the ex-husband is gonna. Is it a thriller?
The baby, because
Is it a thriller?
he's still the baby's father. Like, yeah.
Okay, so you guys wouldn't care reading that during the holidays? I could always like push it and read it later on.
I'm down. Like I said, I'm
I'm-
down for whatever.
Do a poll with.
Yeah, I think I'll do a poll. Okay.
I'll read anything. I don't care.
Are you guys into holiday books or not really?
I've never read like a holiday.
I've never read one either, but I would do it. I love the Hallmark.
It's more like
movies, so
Hallmarky. Like
Yeah, they're like
Hallmark movies. That's what I
Hallmarky.
was thinking too.
I'm into it though. That's fine.
Okay.
We can read one of the Emily. What is it, Griffin?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
oh,
my
that
God,
one
did you guys
too.
read Book Lovers?
Meant to Be.
One.
You read it?
Which one?
Meant to Be, the new one?
No, I haven't.
Like on
I'm in
I want to.
like in the middle.
I have it on hold.
Is it good?
I'm reading it. I'm like maybe almost halfway through. It's cute. It gives me like book lover vibes. It's like
Okay.
very
I love Book
Like,
Lovers.
happy. It's not like the writing isn't as witty. I think Book Lovers, like the writing was like sharp and like the conversations are like that's what I loved most about it. But like the story is just
Yeah.
like cute and fun and like wholesome, and it's good right now because I just read Verity,
Oh.
And so now this
Oh.
is like a nice, like other,
Yeah.
Like a palette
a nice
cleanser.
departure because that book was like, my God.
I haven't
That was
read
that was
that
a
one.
rough one to swallow.
It
You haven't
scares me.
read
My head
Verity?
is still spinning like from it. I don't usually get like triggered that much.
I
by
was
books, and I told
reading
my husband, I was like,
and
I
I
was
was
having
like-
nightmares and everything because I was reading it late at night and I was having like weird dreams. It was creepy.
Which book?
I had to
That's
put
why
it
I'm
down.
scared to read
like,
that book.
It was
Which-
so bad.
which
And it's
one?
I
not
haven't read
even
it
that,
either
like,
for the same reason. Everybody
my
says the
God.
same things, and I really like cherish my sleep. So I'm
I was
just not.
triggered enough by It Ends With Us. That one made me really angry.
I haven't
And-
read that one yet, but I want.
Which
get
one are
so
you guys
attached.
talking about?
Very.
Verity.
Oh, I haven't seen it. And I don't think
I
it's
would
not.
read
It's really
and I would
good,
have to
but
put
it's a lot.
the
Like
book
I would read a
down.
rom-com after you're
Mhm.
done.
It's like, I can't read anymore. I was like, I had to put it down. It was like
Adria.
not even like the scary parts, just like the oh my God, I can't believe that's happening
But
right
is
now.
it like
part.
haunting, like ghost scary, or like
No, like a little
no,
bit
no. It's not like that. It's just
No.
like,
revolting.
yeah, it's just kind of like disturbing,
Like,
like a person
Disturbing.
who is
Disturbing
just
is
like,
the word.
yeah, it's just disturbing.
oh,
And a person who is like not in her right mind and like does very like not good.
And then it ends in such a way that you're like, what? Like, I don't even want to say it, but you're like, not
Don't say it.
like you need to choose. You need
Yeah.
to choose a side and you don't know. But there's a new edit. There's a new one coming out with extra chapters,
Oh, okay.
with like a 2 extra chapters or something. So maybe it tells us more. That's kind of like a cliffhanger there at the end.
the abuse in It Ends With Us triggered me enough that I'm scared to read this one.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
why I'm kind of like, how much are we gonna go into their relationship? I'm a little concerned also.
If anybody reads The Last Train to Key West, there is a little bit of abuse in the beginning,
Yeah.
which also like I was like, I hope this isn't throughout the whole book because I cannot read an entire book about.
What year is that one?
I don't know.
In
30s.
US? In the 30s,
In the
right?
30s.
So it's more understandable. I mean, I know it's obviously not acceptable, but I feel like abuse happened more in
Back
that
then.
time because women needed to know their place, and men thought, women that did something or did, that he was,
I don't know.
What order do you guys recommend? I know she says it doesn't matter, the author, but what order do you guys recommend that I read the other books?
Next
from
Year in
this
Havana, When We Left Cuba,
We Left Cuba.
and then Our Last Days in Barcelona are really together.
So next year in Cuba.
Next Year in
In
Havana.
Havana.
Oh, sorry, Havana. And then the
And
next
When We
one?
Left Cuba is right after that. And then this one, Our Last Days in Barcelona, like those three should go together, I think.
I'm so jealous of you right
Yeah.
now that you're gonna read those books.
It
What an experience.
And
Yeah.
then
was nice.
The Last Train to Key West goes back so far that it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
No,
Relate
it's like
at all.
it's like
Yeah.
an aunt of their dad. So
That's
it
kind of like the
ties
most
in,
beautiful
but it-
girl too, right? It goes back so far.
yeah,
So
it
that one
ties
doesn't
in,
matter
but
either.
it stands alone.
Which one?
Right. The most
last-
beautiful girl in
and-
Cuba.
And the
The
last
most
Train to
beautiful. Who is the one that lives on the farm in The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba? Do you remember?
I
I read
her
that
name?
book too, and I don't
She's
remember.
not part of the
Mariana?
family. Is she not part of the
Is it
family?
Mariana?
She is.
No.
Oh, is it Mariana? It is Mariana, right?
So I think
Yes,
so.
Mariana.
And Mariana is who to them?
She is their dad's great grandmother's sister, great grandfather's sister.
Great grandfather.
That's why it doesn't. It's so far back it doesn't really matter.
It's so
Yeah.
far back and disconnected from
And Our Last
Yeah,
Train to
but it's
Key
a good
West,
one.
She has a lot to write about.
Our Last
I need
Train to
more.
Key West is the dad's sister, so their aunt.
The dad's sister. Yeah, that's more closer, but
Yeah,
the
it
other
ties
one is
in, but
close.
it doesn't really like relate to the three sisters. So you can read that
Yeah.
like on its own.
She referenced
on its
him
own.
and how he had to stay and like run the family business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was more the story of the reporter,
Yeah.
chick and going and investigating all that, and the chick in prison, and yeah, that was the storyline I liked.
As you were saying about abuse is what was more common back then. I thought this, and I wrote
yeah.
a story like 8 or 9 years ago maybe a little bit longer, about emotional abuse, like being in an emotionally abusive relationship. And my idea of women that put up with this were like very submissive. And I was surprised that people that offered to tell their stories, some of them I knew and were doctors, head nurses, lawyers, like people that you would have never assumed putting up with emotional abuse from a guy, lasted in relationships for a long time, putting up with this. So it still happens, sadly.
It is crazy.
So yeah, so if there's a trigger warning, Last Train to the West has a little bit in the beginning, but then it doesn't mention it again. Okay, anybody else? Anything else?
Any other good reads out there that anybody's read lately?
I'm also reading this.
What was that book again, Michelle? 100 what? I'm sorry.
100 Other Girls.
Other Girls.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on Goodreads. I can't
This
find
one
it.
is really good, but I'm not done with it yet.
Oh,
Life
okay.
begins when
Okay,
you
if I have
realize
one
you
book, I
only
talked
have
to
one.
everybody about this book. If there was one book that I could recommend, it's a book called Code Name Helene.
What is it about?
Old name.
It's set in like World War II. It's a real story of this woman, Nancy Wake. She was like a socialite in France, and she ends up becoming a spy to take down the like Nazis. But there's a
I
love
love
story.
World War II books.
Yeah,
You're
me
the second
too.
one to tell me that in like a week.
Of that book.
That book's good.
Yeah.
So I think about it all the time.
Gotta
like,
read it.
Such a good book.
What is it called? Say it again.
Code Name Helene, Helene. So it might be like, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but Code Name Helene. There's a love story involved. It's just so good.
I read something kind of like that. It was, what's it called? Jojo Moyes is the author, and The Girl We Left Behind, or The Girl I Left Behind. So good. It had like a World War II storyline and then a modern day storyline all happening at the same time about in World War II and when they started taking all the possessions in France of like all the paintings and things like that. And it was about a painting that was left behind and the meaning behind that painting. It was pretty cool. I like it, and had love story.
You said,
Like
I'm
Code Name
looking that one up. You said the author was who?
Jojo Moyes, Moyes. She's really good. She's had a couple
Yeah.
of good.
Okay, and this
The
is
girl,
100 Other
yeah,
Girls.
under the girls.
I just downloaded it.
Would you guys be interested in reading this? Maybe I can ask her to join us.
I am
Or do you
super
prefer
excited.
Katie Cooper?
Which
Yeah,
one?
it's a good one for the Christmas time.
What?
It's a light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which
I
one?
mean, that or Katie Cooper for Christmas time. Maybe I can do a poll.
I read the last thing he told me. They're doing a Netflix on it. And
That
I
one
like
is really
Oh.
good.
it
I
is
liked it.
good. I liked it too.
That one surprised me. That one was good.
Yeah.
I didn't like the ending though.
You didn't that they. Oh, I don't want to say
And
it.
I know.
For those of you that have not read it.
I don't like the ending on his perspective. Like I
I
wanted.
agree.
Yeah.
I wanted
Another
more.
really good book that I
agree.
read that's very different from anything I've read is Midnight Library.
Yes.
Oh,
I
that
love
one was good. I
that.
liked it.
Parallel universes. I always think about that.
Life changing. I've never highlighted so many
Life-changing.
quotes
I
in a
agree.
book. It was just like had my
So
mind
good.
spinning.
It was
I
really
I
good.
love that one.
I
Very
have
good.
that
really
one
good.
saved to read. I feel like I don't have enough time to read all these books I want to read.
Same.
Has
Welcome
anyone
to my
read
club.
Apples Never Fall from Leanne Moriarty?
Mm-mm.
I didn't, but my
No.
sister read it and
It's
she.
it's not that old. I have it there, but I haven't read it yet.
I read The
I have
Husband's
nine
Secret by
perfect
her.
strangers.
That one was good.
It was one of my
Right.
favorites, and
You
my
gave me
sister
that
said it was
book.
better.
I liked what Alice forgot, or something
That
like
one
that.
is really good.
It's so good.
That's one
I
of my
read it.
favorite.
Did you guys read Nine Perfect Strangers?
Yeah,
I think they made a Netflix on that too. I
They
think
did a
that's her
series.
too.
Yeah.
I like the book
Yeah.
more. I started watching the Netflix, and I stopped. I didn't finish watching it. Like, I don't know. I like the book better.
Michelle, you said
Hi. Who's
something
leaving?
that I was cracking up. You said, oh, I don't have time to read all these books or whatever. I laughed so much. I saw this thing on Instagram that said, I buy books like I'm immortal. Because
It's
that's
true.
what I do. I'm always buying new books and all this stuff, and I don't have time. I have books that I just haven't read.
I had
There's
like this thing when I was traveling that I would go to the bookstore in whatever country I was in just to see like what they had out and what their bookstores looked. And in Scotland, I was just like browsing, and one of the booksellers was like, "You need to buy that book." While I was looking at it, and then I see, and he has it in his hand, and he's like, "I just took a break and I can't stop reading it." And I bought it 2 years ago, but it's still sitting.
Oh no.
So
My God.
it's
Maybe we
called
should read his book.
Tangerine.
I know, right?
What is it called?
Tangerine by Christine Mangan.
Tangerine.
I don't know, but
The cover here is a little bit
Goodreads
different than the
account?
cover there, but
Do you have a Goodreads account?
yeah.
My list on Goodreads is like more books than
No.
I could ever read in a lifetime.
I feel so bad for my Libby. Like I place things on hold, they come and they go, and I'm like, I had this for 20 days.
You
Somebody
can
was waiting
extend
for
it
it, and
now.
I have to like extend it, or I have to return if nobody's waiting in line. So I'm like, no, let me just return. I'll borrow it again. I'll wait another 3 weeks, and I'm like, maybe I'll get to it. I was like,
I
that's
do
my
that too.
life. I'm like,
I have a bunch of hold on Libby.
me too. I'm like, oh my God, I can't. No, I'm not ready for you yet. Just stay.
I'll do Libby, then I buy books on Amazon, and then I borrow books from Tina. And I'm like, all at the same time. It's like,
Oh, the book life.
And I like real books. And now that I got the Kindle, I'm like, it's horrible because when there's a book that's coming out, I'm like, just get it tonight. Just get it right now.
Just get it. Just get it.
yeah, Click is great.
It's
I
dangerous.
love it.
All right, girls, I gotta go.
Right.
Yes. Thank you all for
Thanks for
sharing.
having me.
Nice
Bye, guys.
chatting with everyone.
Good night. Bye.
Night.
Night.
Bye.